when you're looking at that mirror, you are looking at the problem and the fixer at the same time. And it's up to you to build that, that confidence with yourself, to come to yourself and call yourself out. Like literally I'll call myself out if I did something terrible or wasn't the best. Like, I won't down myself, but I would just take accountability for what I did.
Absolutely. So I really wanted to sit down and talk to you because of two things. Mental health as far as men. Obviously mental health could be for both men and women. But
right,
for men, there's this big, I feel like, disparity as far as awareness, as far as what do you do if you feel like you're dealing with some mental health disorders or anything, right? Any issues. You might even not even have a disorder. You might just feel lost or you need some help, right? There's this big disparity in the marketplace where women are really getting that attention and men aren't, right? Sometimes men need to be seen as the strong one.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to bring you on, because I want to make a specific point and topic about that, as well as your relationship advice. Like, that's some of your content.
Yeah, man. I love touching on both of those things because quick story on why I value showing like passionate masculinity, to the fellas and stuff like that is because the way that I grew up the first part of my years with my mom till I was about like 10 years old. And so during all those years, and my dad was in the picture, but like I just lived with my mom, right? But during all those years, I was able to really communicate with her a lot and see a lot of things that happen on a woman's side to see why most women are the way that they are.
Yeah.
So what it did was it gave me an understanding on how to read women instead of always just allowing my machismo-ness to like just judge them.
Yeah.
Now I have a side where I get you. And then when I moved in with my pops, that's when I had I'm gonna teach you how to be a man, right? And so I got to.
And when was that? How old were you then?
So I moved in with him when I was around 12.
Okay.
Yeah, 11, 12 years old.
So at an early age, you got to see the point of view from a female, from a woman.
Yes, and I grew up around a lot of women, right? And there was always a lot of problems, a lot of unhealthy relationships, a lot of toxicity displayed. And one thing that I knew at a young age was that I didn't want to go through the same thing. Yeah. So like it was always like avoid. What not to do. And that's, that was like a really big part of like what gave me like the passion to like really understand people in general, but allowed me to see, okay, what women deal with, okay, now what us as men deal with. And then my father was able to come in and teach me everything, how to be a gentleman, not to be like so rude towards people whenever they're going through things, how to be wise in situations and, dissect it before you judge, right? And just growing up, I was able to really immerse both of those sides together and created who I am today. The caring, loving person who always wants to help people, who cares about the littlest things, right? Like I'm the type of guy, like if you're a dude, you come up to me like, tell me what's going on. It happens all the time, bro.
But many guys are afraid to do that, and that's one of the problems, right, that we're facing with today, because you want to be that macho guy, right? Yeah. A lot of the times, and I even had this thought of myself, you want to signify yourself as strong, right, as independent, as and those are the qualities that make a real man, right? A real man,
right? That's what really makes a real man, right? But no, absolutely. I think I came to a point in my life where I was tired of hearing other men dog other men for wanting to display vulnerability in any sort of way.
And what do you mean by dog then?
I could go up to a buddy and I could be like, hey man, listen, I'm going through this, like it sucks, like my heart broken because this girl just did this or whatever the case. And you could have your consoling friend, yo, I got you, who's allowing you to display your vulnerability so that he can help you, rather than being the friend who's like, hey yo man, that girl, you could go do this, you don't need her, or yo, stop being a little and those things are like, it's very common, right? You have those people who like men dog other men for being more knowledgeable on how to display their emotions.
I like that. I like when you say knowledgeable instead of being vulnerable, because a lot of times vulnerable can be seen as a negative connotation, like, oh, I'm vulnerable, and a real man never wants to be really vulnerable because it puts him in a weak place, right? So that I like how you said that is knowledgeable.
Knowledgeable is definitely
about your emotions and all that. That's
once you have the key is like, once you have the knowledge, now you become a threat in the dating world because you go from being this man who typically we're looked at as like not being educated when it comes to dealing with emotions to now being educated on it, and when you display that, most women aren't ready for it. Most women are scared of it.
Right.
I've seen women look me in my eye and kind of like go like this because like they're just like, damn, this dude is so educated on this specific topic. I wouldn't be able to date him.
They kind of get afraid of it.
So, they get afraid of it. Like they back away because I don't know, they may not feel like they're at that level, or like they're just like, this dude's too smart for me in this sense.
They're used to dealing with a different type of person, per se, 100%.
Yeah,
that's really well said.
But no, being able to, it's okay for us men to showcase, our vulnerability or become more knowledgeable on how to express our vulnerability with people, and I think it's totally something that needs to be practiced more, because us men, we suffer a lot more with depression. Not much more. Everybody experiences depression, but in this specific scenario, we always feel like we don't have people to go and talk to. And we're more likely to do something stupid and chaotic.
Absolutely.
And our lives, whatever the case may be, go on tangent, whatever the case may be, but like, we don't get a lot of that proper attention. I seen a quote a long time ago where it was like, it was something about men are only loved by like, truly loved by their mom and whatever.
I saw something like that too.
Like that.
You reminded me of it.
And it was just like, dang, like, yeah, like,
because everybody else will love you on condition, right? On condition. Condition that you bring them safety. Condition that you bring them money. Right. Condition that you bring them love or comfort from themselves. And
stability, yeah. So it's like we don't get a lot of that if you're the type of dude with your girl, we're always displaying love, and you're doing all those other things, like, we only get looked at as you're doing those things because you need to. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Where it's like, okay, so what's in it for me? Like, where's the love back to me?
Absolutely.
Like, I'm a person as well. Like, you know what I'm saying?
100%.
Like, and I don't try to play too big on the roles of like, oh, society, girls want to be 50-50, all this stuff.
Yeah.
But in a relationship, you should care about your person.
Absolutely.
Right? And you should ask him those sort of questions just as he may ask you, hey, babe, how you doing? I'm doing good. Basic conversation. How was your day? Is anything on your mind that you need to tell me? You know what I'm saying? These are questions and things that are super important to a successful relationship. I know because thankfully God put me in a position to meet a woman who is very understanding and also very in tune with her emotions, to where we can have conversations that are building more than breaking.
That's great. Yeah. That's amazing. Like, you kind of brought me to a point here when we were speaking about kind of just, a little bit reminded me of being happy, like what makes you the happiest in life. So there's this ideal going around with Andrew Tate. You know Andrew Tate and
Andrew Tate.
Little, you can think about whoever you want of them. A lot of people have their skewed opinions about people and their soundbite opinions.
I have mine.
We all do.
Yeah.
But you brought me to a point, kind of like being happy. Andrew Tate once said, like, we're not supposed to be really happy. We're kind of just supposed to just live our lives in a way, that we think is meaningful. And if we're not happy, 100% happy, that's fine. So how do you think about that? So, like, if a guy's waking up, right, and that maybe they're going through some mental health or disorders or mental health issues at the time, some problems in their life, anything. Mm-hmm. Do you think that they should be chasing this "I'm happy all the time" ideal?
That's a good question. And what Andrew Tate said, I agree with him. Like, and I've said this before, where like, do you expect somebody to be happy every single day, 24/7, 7 days a week? It's impossible. It is impossible to be happy all the damn time. And you got to understand that that's okay, because when you put yourself on that pedestal and that dream that you're trying to chase of always being happy, you're trying to pretty much say that you want to be perfect.
Yeah.
Right? And the only perfect person that we all know of is God.
Yeah.
We're not God.
Yeah.
So it's okay to have days where you're not that happy. But there's pockets and moments of happiness that we can cherish while we're going through them to make us feel like life is worth living. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, today wasn't the best day, but there was one thing that happened. And I'm like, super grateful. Like I'm very happy that you know I was able to experience this moment, good or bad. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Sometimes people say that the best day is when you can experience the wide range of emotions. How do you feel about that?
Listen, the other day I got a parking ticket. And I was, you know, the initial reaction, you know, is kind of like, oh man, what the heck? I gotta pay this. This is stupid. Blah blah blah. Whenever things like that happen to me out of the blue, that will typically trigger someone to get like upset or mad. I'm just like, okay. It's not even about the pay. It's just like, what am I gonna do? You know what I'm saying? Like stress about it. If I apply so much stress on the situation, right, it's going to fester. It's going to grow within me throughout the day, whatever it is, and I'm gonna just be. Now my girlfriend's gonna look at me, and I'm gonna be giving her attitude because of this thing that happened hours ago. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So for me, it was like, it was always choosing happiness and being, you know, in a position where, you know, you can take these, you know, these small L's, but you could still be happy, you know. And I feel like society has like a very big role on what we deem happy and not happy, and what you need in order to be happy, you know. But that's a whole different conversation. But whatever Andrew Tate said, I totally agree with. Like, awesome. You can't always, but as long as you're getting the things done that you want to, and it makes you feel fulfilled in some sort of way, then
awesome. You're killing this so far for me, man. I have a list here of 5 mental health disorders that men struggle with. I kind of just want to read this statement first. I think you mentioned something like this. So this is an article published by NewportInstitute.com. I mean, it's pretty credible website. The 5-minute read of this article: the 5 most common male mental health disorders. And I'm kind of just go through the list, but first I want to read this caption. Men are less likely than women to be diagnosed with any of the most common mental health disorders, and those who have received a diagnosis are less likely to seek treatment. Yet nearly 4 times as many men as women die by suicide. So you actually mentioned that kind of something like that earlier today. So let me actually go over the disorders here, because a lot of times I feel like men don't understand the disorder that they may be dealing with, right? Because it's
either men don't understand, which is definitely a case, but on the other side, women don't understand, because they don't care to, because again, they look at us like Superman. Let's say, right? He's a man. He's supposed to be strong, providing, take care, shelter, all this stuff. So they don't, in their heads, they're really like, he's good, right? It's kind of like the child when you grow up, where it's like, that child's gonna be fine. We don't need to pay as much attention to him because our other child needs more help. So let's go help him out. So we're looked at as like, he got his stuff, he's good. I don't gotta really worry about him because he's a strong man. He's da da da. So therefore, whenever these specific things come up, it's kind of like, wait, what? No, they don't ever think to even ask or consider it, because you know, that's just a different perspective to think about. Like, again, we're human. Biologically, like, we have differences structure-wise, but like, we internally, we have a heart, we have emotions in our head. We get diagnosed with mental health things all the time, and it works the same way, but there's just different societal like things placed on men, different things placed on women, and that's where obviously we're always trying to figure out, you know, well, it never should be like whose is more important or not, but like,
that kind of leads me to the question before I go into the 5 topics. Many times in society, men are seen as the bad person or the more aggressive person than women. So many times when people are going through a breakup, they will automatically assume that the man did something wrong, the male did something wrong. So a lot of the times that stereotype, women will play, they know this, so then will play into the stereotype and be a lot of the victim. So how could men, you know, realize that, you know, just because you're more aggressive, just because you're more dominant in any way, because you are a man, you're different than a woman. Right. How could they be comfortable being that way and know that the problem isn't them, assuming that they really weren't the issue?
So pretty much you're asking, like, how do men like accept kind of like the way that they naturally act toward the situation and not feel like they are being deemed the crazy one?
Yeah, because a lot of the time a woman will manipulate a man, right, to thinking that, hey, because this is who you are, naturally, this is a problem.
Right.
But they'll say it in a different way that will kind of really get to somebody.
Yeah. No, I think with that, and that's, you know, that's a tricky one, because, you know, yes, as men, we do have a more aggressive side when it comes to things, and
that is very tricky.
The reason why I feel us men are more aggressive whenever we get into situations when it comes about emotions and relationship thing is because, believe it or not, we're a lot more passionate than women in those scenarios because like when we love deep. We love very deep. So it's like, you know, women are emotional creatures, right? And I think we hear this all the time. And I'm not trying to bash
and women admit that as well.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to bash women at all. And that's a beautiful thing, right? But women, just as men need to understand on both opposing sides, is that women need to understand that men, you know, showcase their emotions in different ways. So it's not the communication and language isn't going to always match up, and that's where these arguments start to happen.
That's very important.
Right? So us men, when I'm giving you tough love, it's not because I'm like screaming at you and I want to hurt your feelings. It's because I'm that passionate about it that I want to make sure that we're good. So if somebody is ever putting you in a position where they're trying to take your character and create a victim or, you know, a victim mentality out of it, and you know 100%. Now, 100% because of, again, this is where you need to have that level of maturity as a man to know if you're actually in the wrong.
Correct. That is
right? If you're in the wrong, then I can't help you out. Take accountability. But other than that, if somebody is actually trying to make you seem like the bad guy and you honestly did nothing, then I think you need to look at yourself in the mirror and stand your ground. You know who you are. You know what you did in this situation. And as long as you go to bed at night knowing that you had nothing to do with what the person is trying to display you as, then don't lose sleep. Like, at the end of the day, like, if the relationship is meant to be and it's meant fighting for, like, it'll get to that point. But I feel like us men, we get so, like, men settle way more than women. So in those situations like that, a man will, you know, he's going to fight, and then either there's one or two things happen. He either continues to fight and then never realizes his true value in a relationship and that he's being manipulated by somebody, right? Because that's not true love if you're getting manipulated. No. Or he's going to come to his senses and be like, okay, you know what? Like, I deserve somebody who is actually going to accept me for who I am and understand that because I'm aggressive, that's me showcasing a sort of passion towards our situation. Correct. You know, but
really well said.
Thank you. But pretty much with that entire thing, it's like just on both ends, just take accountability. Like if you're the one who messed up, like you have to. Nowadays, like people are trying to hide behind lies and lies and lies, and the old saying, the truth will set you free. That should be popular again. Yeah. Like it should be branded again because like when you're truthful, you never go into a situation ever having to worry. So that's how I live my life. Where it's like if I know I'm telling the truth and I have nothing to hide, nobody could play me, nobody could do anything to hurt me or to, you know, take me down as a person because I know like that I'm not lying. So it's like, hey, like if this is what you created in your mind, then that's on you. But don't put that on me. Like, get out of here. You know what I'm saying?
100%. And a lot of times they will try to put that on you. Yeah. Most of the time, 99% of the time, almost, pretty much. Yeah. So you gotta be prepared. There's gonna be a fight out the door. Yeah, man. Some symptoms that men commonly mistake or just put in play, like these are the things that men do because they might be dealing with mental health disorder or some issues, right? So if they're feeling in these type of ways, it's possible that they're dealing with a mental health disorder. Because commonly these are mistaken just, you know, typical habits of a guy or a man that's, you know, troubled. Right. So, aggression and violence, right? High-risk activities. Now, high-risk activity, I'm assuming they're meaning, like, highly... Men do more superficial.
Right,
we die earlier.
Like Dalton right? Jumps off a freaking cliff or does something stupid.
It's very high.
Yeah. Love
Shout out to my man, Dalton. Substance abuse. That's another one, right? Physical issues such as chronic headaches or stomach aches, because a lot of the times health could be directly determined from like your brain. Like if you think you're unhealthy, you could like harm yourself.
I personally know somebody that went through, I don't want to say a heartbreak, but a very trying situation where they ended up having to get something surgically removed from their stomach because of the amount of stress it caused them from the relationship.
Wow. Yeah, I kind of want to touch quickly on the topic of if you're with somebody bad in your life, it could take years off of your life. Is that true?
It could take, because at the end of the day, it's like you're wasting literal time. Like I've seen so many people where like 8-10 years go by and they were like in year number 1 they knew that they shouldn't have been in there, and then 10 years go by and it's like what the heck, right? But yeah, like you're your value, anybody's values really, like, drops as the more time you waste with somebody. One, you're gonna end up picking up on their bad habits that are making you feel depressed, right? Because then now what happens is your value drops, because if you try to start another relationship, you know, we're creatures of our environment, right? So pretty much we'll pick up on the bad flaws. We try to start a new relationship. We're trying to start on a good foot. But then we bring the baggage of our old relationship because we learned all these bad habits and bring it into there. So, yes, it takes off many years out of your life if you are, you know, with somebody who is bringing them sort of like characteristics into the picture with you.
Absolutely. Good point. All right. Feelings of relentlessness and difficulty focusing. So the relentlessness, I'm not 100% sure what they mean.
Yeah, I don't know what they
mean. But
maybe
I took a thought for a second. Maybe they mean relentlessness on an OCD, kind of a compulsive kind of level. Disorder. Like maybe you're a perfectionist in a way, or so a lot of the times, a lot of very successful people are actually have like kind of are dealing with some mental health disorder or issues.
Right.
I like to say issues more than disorders, really, to be honest with you.
Because you don't know what's going on.
Right, you know, mental health issues, and they're like relentless on achieving success. Like that could be a mental health issue. Yeah,
because it goes into, I feel like, now that you break it down and you probably dissected it, then it comes more into you get kind of like that gambler's mindset where you become addicted to you focus on one thing and it's helping you cope through what you're going through, so that nothing else that you actually need to pay attention to can touch you. But really what you're doing is you're sweeping all these things under the rug, right? And then one of these days somebody's gonna come and pull that rug, and you're gonna come pull that rug, and you're gonna see all the things and traumas and the situations that you needed to deal with and heal from, and it's gonna come hit you like a ton of bricks. That's happened to me before. It was
really well said.
It was absolutely the worst thing in the world. I've always been a very strong, level-headed person. My father definitely instilled these traits into me. Negativity didn't touch me. I didn't allow it to. I was very positively selfish with my life. I say positively because, I was doing my thing. I was traveling. I was working. I was doing what I wanted, but it was all to grow, in life, career, whatever the case may have been. But with that, I kind of suppressed a lot of things that happened in my life that I should have paid attention to. And I came to one, I don't want to say defining moment, but a situation which was a relationship that it just like it was a switch that was flipped. It was like everything that happened in the past that I never properly paid attention to dropped on me all at once.
Boom. Wow.
And it took me a very long time to rebuild my confidence, right? My self-love for myself. I stopped loving myself, and I was always big at that.
You feel like you hit rock bottom?
I felt like I felt like a piece of crap. I'm not gonna lie, right? Because I wasn't perfect in all these situations, right? Wow. I did stupid stuff. I broke hearts. I just, and it's the truth. It's the honesty, and that's what I personally live by, because you can't learn from somebody's story if you're not completely being honest, right? And I'm not perfect. I've broken hearts. My heart got broken. Like, we all do it. Like, it's a part of life, because realistically, when you're dating younger, like, it's going to happen more often because you're so young, you don't know what to do. So it's going to happen. Then lead you to the person that you're with, and then you're like, I had to go through all of that in order to make sure that now I could give you my all.
I had to become this person so that I could be with this person.
So I could be like this person and be mature enough, emotionally mature enough to handle a real relationship. You know what I mean? But no, that's that. I feel like that was definitely pretty much sums it up what you were saying, where it's like if they're trying to like hyper focus on one thing to try to not focus on the other, then it's just a way for them to not pay attention to the things that really matter.
100%. Now a little bit more obvious one: appetite and weight changes. Fatigue, kind of always feeling tired, even though they might not. They just woke up, right? They want to be in the house maybe all day. They're just slouched over all day, kind of that tired all the time. Obsessive thinking, kind of like the same thing I'd say as relentlessness almost, like in a way, like going hard at a task. I think you're kind of nailing that point home. So those are like, excuse me. Those are all like the symptoms that we're seeing of mental health. So I think it's important for men to pay attention to these things that they feel like may just be everyday things. Right? And to know that like if this is going on with you, like take notice and try to take a next step into helping yourself.
Yeah, like, pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Like, it's easy for you to pay attention to your stocks, right? You're checking that 24/7, 7 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to pay attention to, you know, when you're going out and you're buying shots for everybody. It's easy to, you know, do the simple things every single day, but you need to, you know, do some sort of self-affirmations. And because at the end of the day, like, we have best friends in life, but really the best friend is the mirror. Like, when you're looking at yourself, like, everybody, like, this is the thing, when I say that, this is what I mean. I know myself better than anybody in my life knows me, right? Therefore, though that my friends can help me in some sort of different ways to give me different perspectives to help my thinking, to help me become more calm or whatever, you know, there are still some underlying things that they probably don't know about me that I don't want to tell them.
Yeah.
So again, when you're looking at that mirror, you are looking at the problem and the fixer at the same time. And it's up to you to build that, you know, that confidence with yourself, to come to yourself and call yourself out. You know, like, literally, I'll call myself out if I did something terrible or wasn't the best. Like, I won't down myself, but I would just take accountability for what I did.
Absolutely.
Because
Accountability.
one thing I learned is just like, you know, how would you feel if it was done to you? I'd feel like crap. Don't do it again. Cool. I take accountability. I was in the wrong. And I probably didn't even mean to do whatever happened. But then when I dissect it, I'm like, okay, yeah, that was me. I could have done this better. I could have said this better. You know, I'll be better next time.
Accountability is huge.
It's huge, man. But, you know, I was in this class in college. It was a psychology class, actually. And there was a self-affirmation assignment that we needed to do where it was like, for like 14 days straight, you needed to, when you woke up in the morning, or whenever throughout the day, look at yourself for 2 minutes in the mirror.
Yeah.
Now, when I say look at yourself, don't just look at your overall image. I'm talking about look at the reflection in your eyeballs of yourself. That's how deep you need to be looking into yourself. And every single day for 2 minutes, tell yourself, I love you. I love you because you get up in the morning and you brush your teeth. From the simplest things to the biggest things in the world. It's an emotional task.
Yeah.
I guarantee if anybody tries this, you will cry. And it's okay because, again, you kind of become your own therapist and you're self-healing yourself. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
It's very positive, very powerful, a self-affirmation thing you can do at home. So.
Goated.
Literally, I haven't done it in a while.
He's like, yo, facts. That's like we gotta also let the audience know, like, people know, like, you're striving to success in anything. It's always gonna be a constant battle. You're never 100% perfect. Kind of like we touched on earlier. Sometimes you're gonna forget a strategy or a tactic that you used to use 6 months ago. They're like, oh shit, I gotta start implementing this again. Yeah. It's always this. It's like a muscle. You know, you gotta keep building it up.
Absolutely, your heart is a muscle for sure. And your brain is too. So, again, we gotta make sure that we're paying attention to those things. Because if not, the enemy would take us out in whatever way they want to.
Oh man, look at you. All right, so we went over the symptoms of the mental health disorder or issues and disorders. Let me just list them here. What they put down is the most 5 common mental health issues that men are going through: depression,
absolutely,
anxiety, and that's a big one for me. I like to touch on that one because anxiety can be seen in so many different forms. For the longest time, personally, I felt like, oh, there was nothing wrong with me. I was like, yo, dude. I look in the mirror. There's nothing. I'm like, yo, there's nothing. There's nothing wrong with me. But I'm like, yo, I have these moments of life where like I'm all alone and I feel so anxious because I'm not achieving success or I'm not achieving greatness or I'm not doing something. And I actually took a look at that, like, why is that? And I look back into my past. I come from a very anxiety for me on a personal level. I thought I was perfect, right? I'm like, there's nothing wrong with me. But then I realized these small moments of time where if I wasn't distracting myself with something, I felt completely anxious. Like I needed to be achieving something, needed to be doing something. And I looked back and I said, that's because of my past. I didn't have these, thank you, man. I didn't have these, the luxuries of life of having like the success, the nice cars, the nice clothes, all the nice things. So I wanted that so bad. Yeah. So that to me right there was like, okay, well I'm gonna link that as a mental health issue, honestly, because I need to take a look back and say, Randy, you know, there's nothing wrong with you. You know, you're anxious because you went through these certain things. There's nothing wrong with you. It's okay to feel this way.
Right.
It's very okay to feel this way.
Want a better life. Absolutely.
Now tunnel that feeling. Know that you have the anxiety because of it, and tune it and control it, which is one of the hardest things in the world to do for anybody. To
control your emotions.
Right? To control your emotion and tune it and put tunnel vision into having success or improving another area of your life. That was like my personal journey.
And it's crazy because even like by you pretty much pushing yourself to get to this level of success, without you even understanding and knowing, you were already successful and had a lot of successful days, moments, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, facts.
You spent a day creating content, you got out 5 videos, whatever the case may have been, even if it's one.
Yeah.
It was a successful day.
Yeah.
Right? But
100%.
again, I get it. I come from a background too where didn't have a lot, and it was kind of like, I want to be different. I want to have the things that I didn't see my family have. You know what I'm saying? And it does drive you off the edge to trying to figure out. That's why some people do some really oddball, crazy things in order to get ahead in life, and it bites them in the butt. But it's because of the desperation of wanting to be better. And again, it's not for a bad reason, but you know, they sometimes get so, you know, obsessed, and that anxiety overtakes, because anxiety is kind of like, why am I not successful yet?
Exactly.
I feel like I've done so much work. Why am I not yet? When it's not your time, you know, to get at that specific level of success that you want to feel, you know. But what I learned is, because I'm the same way, right? I'm a creative, I'm a thinker, I'm somebody who wants to be successful. So yeah, I have a lot of restless nights where I'm like, what can I do? What do I have to do? What's my next move? You know what I mean? But I stopped chasing like this idea where like, you know, money just didn't become an issue. Like I was like, I know the money's gonna come. I feel good about where my future is going. You know what I'm saying? If this is my purpose, if God wants me to, is it okay if I say God on the podcast?
100%.
Okay. So you know, if this is my purpose and God honestly wants me to go down this route so that I could plant seeds in thousands of people's in order to help them in whatever type of way, or if it's with a camera or whatever the case, those blessings will come. And when they come, sometimes they come and we're actually not even ready for it. Right?
That's very, very true. Or it comes in a way that you're blind because you can't
blind,
see it.
And you don't fully possess it when it does come, because you're thinking like, oh no, it may come in small little, you know, waves.
They say that, you know, if you ask for God for something, he gives it to you right away, instantaneously. He gives it to you in a way, in a shape or form that you just don't see or understand right now.
Dude, you don't know,
like
man.
If I ask for $1 million, God's already given that to me, actually, because there's the value. I can create a value in the marketplace to go and achieve that success of $1 million.
You have the people that are in the grave, they don't have that. You have it literally.
I have that I could get that. So God has already granted me with that. So 100%.
But as long as you do keep your mind in that mindset that you want to be successful, you're going to get there. I believe at this point of our life, like, for any of the younger audience watching this, like, as long as you stay focused on what you're doing, you're going to become very successful at it. Very successful.
Yes.
Like, you got to really want it, but, like, you got to just
trust yourself.
Trust yourself, be patient, and understand that, like, the scaling portion of it will come in time. If it comes sooner, then you're doing something really good, and that's great. But don't beat yourself up just because you're not seeing a bunch of commas and zeros in your bank account yet. But know that you stick with it, that value is going to build over time.
Correct. And you might be being hard on yourself because you're feeling that anxiety. And one of the most common symptoms of anxiety, or common parts of anxiety, is obsessive compulsive disorder. Sticking and work on something, beating yourself over it. Beating yourself up, because a lot of times OCD can cause a lot of harm.
Yeah, absolutely. It causes harms to your family, your friends. You know what I'm saying? Yourself. Yeah, you may think you're getting things done, but realistically, you're undoing a lot of other things that are actually more important and bring more value into your life than money. You know.
100%. Another thing is they have linked here as a mental health issue is substance use disorder, and PTSD. You know, I think that's a huge one as well. Your past. There's this word that I'm not sure. I mean, it seems to be that everybody has different definitions of it. It's called epistemology. To me, and if you look it up, the definition says something like, it's a thought, it's like a way of thinking. It's like how people think differently for everybody, right? Your epistemology is different than my epistemology. Right. So to me, that word right there means that you are this total sum of everything that ever happened to you in your entire life, plus on how you respond to your environment, plus the genetic things. It's the mixture of everything.
I can piggyback off of that and agree. I've never heard the word before. It's a great word. How do you say it?
Epistemology. Starts with an E.
Epistemology.
Yes.
Right. So I took a lifespan psychology class. Yeah. Lifespan meaning from the very time you're an egg until you're an infant, until you're a teenage adult, until you are in the grave. And in that class, what I learned was the different developmental stages in our lives and how they can affect long term for the rest of your life. Right? And so that word kind of brings me into that.
Absolutely.
That thought process where it's like, when you're young and if you're getting taught a certain thing, or you're not properly showed how to display love. That's why you have these kids that are going up and shooting schools and doing all this stuff. They're not showed that real love. It will affect you, that PTSD, that stuff. It really triggers a lot. But and when I told you a little bit earlier in the podcast, when I had a situation where everything came raining down on me, that was truly a defining moment of what you're talking about right now. Where all my past traumas attacked me. Like if it was a football team just tackled me. Right? And because I never focused on those sort of things, it ruined relationships, with girls, and, it made me feel like I wasn't capable of being loved, and I couldn't actually love somebody. Like, I got to a point, this shit is crazy, where I would literally tell a girl I love her, think it, I know I love her, I got love for her, but I didn't know how to even define love. I didn't even know what it actually felt like. You know what I'm saying? Love bombing, right? It's a thing that I talked about on my page. 100%. Love bombing, and I don't even know what the heck I'm talking about. And the reason why I talk about that is because we're going into the trauma thing is that's pretty, I'm sure it was traumatizing for those girls. I'm telling them I love them, they're believing it, and I can't even believe myself. You know what I mean? And that was one thing that when I finally realized how wrong that was, and it wasn't like I wasn't intentionally purposely doing it. I am a good guy. I do love very easily, so I thought I did, but I just never felt loved or knew how to properly display
it. You had to learn it, correct.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm sorry if I went off tangent.
No, that makes a ton of sense, because we're all dealing with PTSD in some way, and people have to understand that every part and every portion of your life, if it's positive or negative, is going to affect. That is what your epistemology is. So you are that. Yeah. That's something.
You're a product of your environment. Literally, you know what I mean? And
not one child, they say, not one child grows up in the same household.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you ever heard that one, but that one's used commonly in psychology world. They're always saying that, not how come this one child that grew up in the same household as somebody else, how come they're totally different people? Not one child grows up in the same household.
The same household. Things change, people change, and that's why I feel like that is always a big issue, because I've seen it. I have 13 siblings.
Oh, shit.
You definitely weren't raised all in the same household or by all the same people. You see the differences, Shout out to my family. I love them to death, but this is just for podcast purposes only. We are not all perfect, and we all have different sort of walks of life, but I would get to points in my life where it was a very selfish way of thinking, but I would kind of be like, why can't we all be doing the same thing in a positive way? You know what I mean? And then, long story short for that, because I don't want to get too much into that, is that I just came to the point where I was like, oh, we're all raised differently. We all had different things happen to us, different people raising us, building our mentality. You know what I mean?
And sometimes it's heartbreaking.
I had to let go of that thought, because it's your own. So you're like, if I'm good, you should be good. So when you don't see one good, you're like, what can I do? But then again, that's the man in us we want to save.
I want to touch on that even more, because that's you're 100% right, bro. That I even had that realization, and sometimes it's heartbreaking to realize that even your own brother even your own sister, even your own cousin that you live with, your grandma that you connect with, somebody in your family is never going to be on that level with you mentally, and you're never going to connect in that way.
Yeah, I got to a point in my life where I just knew that as long as I do my due diligence as a family man, a respectable family man, to pave the way and plant the seeds, they were there to pick them up whenever they wanted to harvest them. That's it. And that's what I hope that they do that for me as well. So, right? So it's kind of like a system where we create, like, I'm gonna help you, you help me, and that's you, right? That's a family. That's kind of like we're all typically raised to do. But pride is stuck, and everybody's pride is so high, and everybody is
very
like
true.
you're trying to act perfect, and no, I'm not. That's the thing. I am so imperfect that I am doing my best to make sure that we don't repeat the same things that have been happening to us for generations to come.
In fact, I'm so unperfect.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and it took me to be imperfect to figure out that I needed to fix these things. And while I'm healing myself, I can heal the others around me, because I may be one step ahead of them in the process of healing that they never discovered yet. And I can be like, yo, I can help you, I did this, whatever the case. You know what I mean? But it is, unfortunately, like, always hits a lot harder when it's family, because, you know, sometimes in those instances you'll have friends that'll change with you faster than your family will. But again, as long as you do things with a giving, open heart, and understand that you at least did your due diligence to trying to help them, to me, I'm right with God. Like, I didn't hold out, I didn't shy away, I didn't hide any secrets. Like, we all have the same opportunity. You know, we may not have been raised all the same exact way, and I'm not trying to make anybody live in my way, but let's just get out of the rut. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I tell my girl all the time. You know, we just had our son, shout out to Zane, and I'm like, what I'm doing right now in my life is not just for us and our immediate family. I want my 10th generation of great grandkids, right, to be able to know that Papa Chino built something for them. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I want to have and I seen this in a podcast, and it was so powerful, and you're going to like this one, where it's like he built a trust for his family like the Rockefellers, and I know this is going off tangent of what we're talking about, but you can use this for any other situation, but pretty much he was like, I want the Rockefeller trust in that fashion. He told his financial advisor, whatever, or lawyers, and with every single generation that comes, he's going to make his initial handwritten letter that came from him saying to my grandkids, a long letter listing out everything. And he said, for every single generation until the end of time, I want every single one of them to receive that letter so that they know 10, 20 generations from now, their ancestor was thinking about them. And it feels like a personal message to them. You know what I'm saying? I didn't let you down, so I did this so that so we could continue to build a legacy, and it is powerful, right? So it's like
that's something I'm gonna definitely want to do.
Yeah, like, it's literally, and it's so easy to do, bro. Like, it's a whole other podcast we could hop on about finances and things like that. I'm not the.
We'll have that episode next.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Stay tuned for that one. I definitely love talking about that stuff and learning about it. You know what I mean?
You gotta have these topics of discussion.
Absolutely.
All right, man. So that was literally all my topics. Pretty much for the most part, I touched on everything, man. That's like our time limit, but I wanted to close it up with some closing thoughts with you. Everybody, this is my man Chino. We're going to put his tags here on all the platforms that he's on below the video as well. Good advocate on mental health and relationship advice. I've been following him for quite some time, and he's really awesome, guys. So give him a follow. Show some support on all platforms. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, and Randy, I appreciate you for having me on. This is actually my very first podcast, so I'm super excited. Was super nervous coming here, actually. I was nervous too. Since we didn't have like a topic, like I'm just like, okay, I'm just God just lead the way. Exactly. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, this is what it's about. It's coming together and sharing some information and perspectives to help our viewers, other people. And yes, as he said on my page, I talk about mental health, relationship advice, relatable content. And I'm always trying to spill some value, and I have some really cool things coming out, and anybody who would like to come along to the page, check it out, see if I bring you any value, and you can follow, that'll be great. And for Randy's followers, man, you guys have a gem here. So make sure that you stay tuned to all of his posts. And make sure that you stay in touch with him. Ask him some questions in the DMs. I'm sure he will answer them when he can. 100%. And let's continue to grow these communities, man.
My bro.
No. He got the great man.
I got the big ass apple on him.
Right. Big ass great, bro. What the hell?
Good shit, bro. Appreciate that.